Hello, everyone. Welcome to the broadcast for this Sunday. I hope you're doing fantastic today. Great to be here with you. I hope you have had a great weekend and past week and are ready to start the next week. I want to say hello to Heathen Granny 666. Oh man, Heathen Granny 666 now. 666. It's gotten even darker. DC, great to have you here. How's everyone doing today? Hopefully you're doing fantastic. I'm doing pretty good today. I guess last time I saw you here was about 2 weeks ago, so I've been doing pretty good since then, and I hope you have been as well. Ristas, would you like to say anything to the people? Ladies and boys, we have been doing good too. We've been sniffing feet. Look at all those feet. Look at all those pink feet. Boy, that was scary, wasn't it? They got a little startled by the light situation there. Anyway, funny stuff. Anyway, Ristas, you're gonna sit here and you're going to have a good time. There you go. How cute are you? They are so cute, aren't they? Very, very cute. Anyway, so as we usually do for our Sunday live streams, we usually talk about the topic that was Friday's topic. However, because I'm only doing these every other week now, I decided, why don't we group the prior 2 weeks' topics that were talked about and explore those more in depth, talk a bit about more with them. So on 2 weeks ago, we talked about raising the minimum wage and why that should not happen, and I'll express my viewpoints and the information behind that reasoning, in addition to just having a conversation regarding that topic. And then Friday's topic was about taking life too seriously. What happens when you take life too seriously to the point where everything is offensive to you because you cannot take life in a joking manner? You just take it far too seriously that you cannot laugh at anything, you cannot joke about anything, you cannot have a fun time. You cannot laugh at your own expense even. You get upset, you get triggered by what other people say. So we're going to be talking about both of those topics today, and we're going to be exploring those and talking about, what you can do to stop being so offended, shall we say, of other people's opinions and beliefs and ideas about you. Okay? So, yeah, we have a lot to talk about today. We really do. I do not have my tea today. As you can see, it is quite warm, so I do not have my tea. Not today. Maybe once it starts to get cooler, next time that we're here, it'll be October. So, yeah, it's going to start getting cooler soon enough. It really is. And that could be the time to start bringing out the rooster mug. And then we would end up having 3 roosters. There would be three roosters consistently. Well, you could actually say there's 3 now, as you can see. So, okay. All right, so why don't we start exploring this topic now? So 2 weeks ago, we talked about the problems with raising the minimum wage. And I feel as though, there's a lot of conflicting beliefs and opinions that people have regarding this topic. And I understand where some people are coming from, especially if you work tirelessly and you're someone who puts in a lot of time and effort and you want to be able to succeed with the rising prices of things. However, where a lot of people come from of why they want to be able to make more money to afford things and the reason why the prices are increasing are usually totally, completely off. And I'll explain the reasoning behind that. A lot of people have no idea how the economy works or how the whole financial system is. even the people who run the economy and the financial system and the banks and the Federal Reserve, they don't even have a clue themselves. I'm sure, maybe some of you have seen some of the interviews and questions that have been asked of some of these people who run these organizations. And they can't even come up with an answer as to, well, how can the government print so much money? Well, it just can. Okay, well, how can it do that? How is it legally able to do that sort of activity? What's that going to cause? What sort of cascading effects are there going to be if the government keeps printing money again and again and again and again? There's so many issues here that so many people are not even thinking about, and I feel as though a lot of people who really do want the minimum wage to be increased are really not thinking of the repercussions of that action. These are often people who may not make a whole lot of money, or if they don't know how to manage their finances whatsoever. They frivolously spend their money. They live paycheck to paycheck. They believe that there is this global cabal of CEOs and company managers that are hiking prices for the sake of, just profit making, like every single company in the United States or in the world is all conspiring together to undermine the consumer and raise prices. Now, I'm not going to get into conspiracy theory type territory, but that's what some of these people believe. They often believe that maybe the reason why things are so expensive now is because companies or stores or whatever else are charging an excess amount for their goods and services, that their profit margins are absolutely massive, that they are bringing in more money than they ever have. Some companies, absolutely yes. Absolutely. However, if you look at financial reports, if you look at earning reports, if you actually study some of the information regarding the whole supply chain and just look at that, you will often see that that's really not the full picture at play. And it's unfortunate that a lot of these people have been led to believe that false information, but that is basically what they've been told. And the solution to that they've been told is basically a communistic type of price control, where it's like, okay, here's the cap of how much you can charge for this item. Not really accounting for the supply chain, not accounting for the actual price to produce the item. Instead, they believe in that type of communistic type of price control. Now, I would say, if you really want to live in a communistic type of place, I would say, you can look at a few other countries that are very, very strict or very authoritarian with their type of approach to how they govern their citizens. If you look at China, for example, you have basically your digital ID. And if you say something, if you do something that, goes against what the narrative is for that country, for the government, then you will basically be humiliated. Your social credit score will be lowered. You have your name up on a billboard for everyone to be able to see what your score is and to not associate with you. You will not be able to pay at certain places or go certain locations because your credit score is too low. So to say that is what these people want to bring here, it is a very shocking thing. It really is. But that is what it all leads to, because people fall for this misinformation as to why the prices are so high. That they think it is this massive conspiracy theory that all these companies are undermining people. Mind you, I think some companies do, absolutely. And I think that certainly CEOs of companies get paid way too much, whereas the actual workers are barely paid anything at all. But that's not the issue we're really talking about here. We're talking about the other major issue of raising the minimum wage. What does that do for a company if there aren't other decreases in upper management as well that are making a lot of money? So first of all, in order to really understand that, when it comes to how expensive goods and services are. What's the reason for that? Does anyone know why everything is so expensive? It's not because there is a cabal of companies conspiring together to raise the prices of things. That's not the reason. Although I don't see how that's a convincing reason, but some people believe that. The reason why the prices of things are going up so much and the reason why inflation is very high is because the government keeps printing money. People don't want to acknowledge that fact. When you think about in 2020, when all of the money that was printed for your stimulus checks and everything, people were so happy to get all of that free money from the government, but it came as a consequence. What was the consequence? You're going to have massive inflation. It's not just that, it's all of the money that the government spends for bills, ridiculous, trillions of dollars for various bills to fund wars, all this sort of stuff. All of that contributes to you having to pay more money for everything that you purchase. And as a result, because everything is more expensive, people are not able to make a living. So they want the prices, the income that they're making, the minimum wage, to be able to be increased. So they're really not looking at the core solution here, which is to stop the government spending, or to at least back it by something that is manageable. Because back in the day, the US dollar used to be backed by gold. And I believe it was Richard Nixon who ended up abolishing that. So now the government can just print unlimited money to the point where it's causing all this inflation and everything, because it's not backed by anything whatsoever. So that's a major problem. So instead of people turning their attention to that, they instead turn it to their employers, saying, we demand, higher paychecks. Well, what happens if there's a company, especially if you look at small businesses? There are so many small businesses around here, companies, restaurants, places that I've liked to go to, that have completely shut down because they're not able to afford either their location that they're at. They're not able to make a decent enough profit. And it's a sad thing when there's places that you absolutely love. They've been there. Sometimes they've been there for a very, very long time. Other times it is maybe just a year or two. And then they shut down because they cannot afford the operation costs. So what happens when the minimum wage goes to increase and these already struggling small businesses are forced to have to pay more money to the employees that they already have? What are they going to do? They're going to fire people. They're not going to have as much staff on hand. The staff that will be on hand is going to be more stressed out because they're going to have more work to do. In addition, you're going to have the prices of the items at that store or at that restaurant increase. So that means people who are walking in are going to say, oh, this thing went up $3. I don't think I'm going to shop here anymore. I don't think I'm going to eat here anymore. So then you're going to lose customers. And then before you know it, they're gone. That's basically how that sort of system works. So I think a lot of people just don't understand that how everything is connected like that. Instead, they will point the blame at things that are a problem, absolutely, but they're not seeing the full picture. It's very limited with their type of belief of what they're looking at. And instead, they just see just a little tiny bit, and it's such a shame. It really is. So, that's basically the main issue here when it comes to raising the minimum wage. Why it should not. Now, I don't have a solution for you. I don't know what the correct answer would be besides getting the government spending in a much better track. However, I just don't think that's possible, because how things are now with the amount of trillions and trillions of dollars that the United States is in, especially, it is absolutely horrendous. And to say that that it's ever going to lower, that it's ever going to be paid off. No, it's eventually going to get to a point where That's it. It's done. There is no more. Your money is basically worthless at this point, which is where we get into the topic of central bank digital currencies and that sort of stuff, which is not. I'm not going to touch on that. We have talked about that before. You can go check out the prior topics that I've talked about with that and everything. So, yeah, it's an interesting thing. It really is. So, okay. Okay, so I guess with that, we shall move on to the next part of the topic now. Isn't that right, Ristas? Mm-hmm. So hopefully that cleared up a lot of information there when it comes to the monetary system and the economy and why a lot of people, well, that's the other thing to really mention here as well. How many people are taught about the economy and managing their money and managing a budget when they're in school? No one. Unless you go specifically for some sort of financial related classes or you want a degree in some sort of financial related field, you're not going to learn anything about the economy and how to manage a budget and everything. And we wonder why there's so many people who are in debt who don't know how to manage their money or who believe things about the economy and the way that it works that is completely false. So it's a very interesting thing. It really is. Very, very interesting. It's such a sad thing. It really should be something that should be taught. How the economy works, how to manage your money effectively, how to be able to make a budget for yourself so that if you're making a certain amount of money, yet you cannot afford much of anything, what can you do to start to change that around? What can you do to say, okay, I mean, the thing that I'm spending, if I'm buying coffee every single morning, that all adds up. It's like, yeah, maybe it's just like a few dollars here and there and whatever. But that all adds up. It's like people don't keep track of these things. I've been keeping track of my finances for a very, very long time. It's like I know how much I'm spending. I know how much I'm making. I know specifically categories of what I'm bringing in and what I am spending. So people don't want to do that, and then they complain that they're not making enough money or they don't have enough money or that they cannot afford things. So it's not just all the inflation and the government. It has to do with people as well, because people don't know how to manage anything. They really don't. So that is a major problem. That's a major problem. Okay. I think we shall move on to our second topic now. So I think people were very flabbergasted by this shocking information that perhaps they did not even know. We're going to get the mice over there. They're going to talk about their own finances, of how to manage. They don't know how to manage their money, but maybe they can listen to what I had to say regarding it, and they can figure out what is the best solution for them. So, the other topic here we wanted to bring up about taking life too seriously. Taking life too seriously. How many of you take life a bit too seriously? I think at one point or another, we all do that to a degree. We really do. We take life so seriously that we will not be able to laugh at a joke. Something that is meant to be a joke, something that is meant to be funny, and we just take it as criticism. We take it as a means of insulting us, when instead we should be laughing at our own expense. We should be laughing at jokes that are meant to be funny, even if they could be viewed as discriminatory in nature. Because let me tell you this, back in the day, and by back in the day, I guess back when I was younger, because back in the day could mean something different to everyone, but I guess, if you're older, then I guess you can see how many, many years ago, people were able to laugh at jokes. You could be making fun of someone's race or someone's gender or someone's, disability. And even the people who are that race or gender or sex or have that disability would laugh as well. That was very different times than we live in right now, where to this day, there are so many people you can't say anything without them getting insulted and feel as though they're being discriminated against, and they just take it personally. They take it way too personally. And that's a major issue. There really is. These are people who take life too seriously and they don't know when to joke. Let me tell you this. I am someone who I joke all the time about all sorts of things. So I don't really hold back those types of jokes. It's like people who I'm friends with, I would joke about, joke things regarding them or even me, and we'll all have a good laugh, but sometimes they may get upset or something. It's like, okay, let me just dial it back a bit. Okay, so you can make all the ridiculous things. You can say some of the most insulting things to me personally, even if you intend for it to be insulting in nature, and I will probably still laugh at it because I don't care what someone says about how I look or how I act or how I dress or whatever else that people are going to insult someone. It to me, I don't really care. I'm not going to be so upset about that. So I feel as though if more people can take life from this non-serious approach, then I think things would be so much better. I really do. People will be able to laugh more. People will be able to have a much more enjoyable time and just have fun. But now it's like you can't say anything. If you like accidentally misgender someone, that can be considered a hate crime now in certain countries. And it's like, even if it's by accident, it's like, oh my gosh, it's like, how funny it is when people online are calling me he and whatever, trying to be insulting, and it's just like, joke's on you, because I'm not going to get offended by what you have to say, because they're trying to offend me. They're trying to say something that's going to get under my skin and set me off, and it's like, you're not going to succeed with that goal. You're not. So other people are not able to do that. I've known people as well who I'll make a joke about, or I'll say something not even specifically related to them. I'll just make a joke and they get offended by it, and then I just cannot. I have a very hard time dealing with those types of people. I really do, because they just take life far too seriously. They really do. Ryan, it is great to have you today. Great to have you here today. How are you doing today? Hopefully you're doing very nice. So I guess the real question is then, what can you do about it if other people are saying insulting things that are meant to be a joke? Like, if you think back of how there have been several, actually this is actually the perfect example. So when I was younger, when I was a teenager, I would see, some comedians on TV who were considered, they would insult people. They would have people come to their, event, their comedic event. It's meant to be funny. And they will insult gay people right to their face, or black people, or Asian people, or, any other type of disability that someone has. If someone's like in a wheelchair or whatever, they will make fun of all these sorts of things that people are. But it's in a fun, amusing way, and everyone would laugh at it. So that's the type of stuff that, I found very funny back in the day. And maybe that's why I don't take offense to these things now, because now if there's comedians who are making these types of jokes, who are making fun of people who are, transsexual, then the main problem is that, all these people, it's like, we must cancel this individual now because they're making fun. It's like, it's meant to be a joke. It's meant to be a joke. Like, some years ago, there was probably a few comedians. There's actually been a few comedians, actually, who, you hear all these things about we should cancel them because they said all these ridiculous things. So I actually watched a little bit of, what people are so offended by. And I hear it and I just begin laughing. I'm like, I don't that was my first instinct to do that. It wasn't like, I am so offended by this. I'm so angry at this. No, instead, I am the one who is laughing hysterically at this. Like, oh my gosh, what they said is so true and accurate. It's so funny. It's like, it's meant to be a joke. It's meant to be a joke. But people can't see it that way. People can't see it that way. And it's a shame. It really is a shame. So, So I guess where we really should be going with this would be then, how can you get to the point where I basically have gone, where I'm not offended by those sorts of things? Well, you basically have to be able to laugh at yourself. Point out your flaws and laugh at them. It's like, if you have some sort of flaw, make a joke around it. Make something funny out of it. Bring some amusement to it. That's what will lighten your mood and bring you to a higher place. Like, even, let me tell you this, even if you are someone who is terminally ill with some sort of disease and you don't have much longer to live, what would make your life better towards this end time is to be able to laugh and have fun, to not worry so much about this disease. But the thing is, people are going to focus on that so much that it basically destroys them from the inside out. If you can make some jokes about it, if you can laugh about it, if you can laugh at yourself, then it will be so much better and you'll be able to just go out smiling as opposed to being miserable. So that is my mindset. That is what I try to educate and bring here, because you have to be able to laugh at yourself. You have to be able to laugh at your flaws. If you made the most ridiculous, if you did the most embarrassing thing when you were with some people, that goes in our mind. We constantly think about it, like, oh my gosh, what if I did this? What if I did that? Just laugh about it, and it'll be like, we talked about this, I would say several months ago, that people are more focused on themselves than they are focusing on you. If you go out somewhere and, something doesn't look right on you, or, you're self-conscious about like a pimple you have on your face, how many people are going to be looking at you and going, oh my gosh, look how hideous that person is with that pimple on their face. I mean, they dare go out into public like that? No one's going to be thinking that. What is everyone else going to be thinking? They're going to be thinking about themselves. They're going to be thinking about their own issues that they have, that they're self-conscious about. No one's going to be thinking about you, and probably no one's even going to notice. But you do. You focus on that. You're the one who puts attention to that, and only you do. Anyway, I have talked enough now, so let me see what you all have to say about this. I need to rest my throat. I've been talking straight for like 30 minutes here about the economy, about money, about laughing at your own expense and other people if it's meant to be a funny joke. Let's see. So Ryan says, I'm doing all right, just getting ready for the super busy October podcast schedule. It's not even October yet, and the calendar is filling up. Well, congratulations, Ryan. I hope that goes well for you. Heathen Granny says, the other side flipped out at Dylan being promoted by Bud Light. That whole fiasco that destroyed the company. That person single-handedly destroyed that company. Good riddance to any beer company, to be completely honest with you. I don't care about beer or alcohol or any of that sort of stuff. So, good riddance. Let's say, it's going to be time to start pushing my Wendigo books. Looks like it will be done and released this coming December. Well, that is great to hear, Ryan. I hope that goes well for you. That's not that much further away, is it? It really isn't. Mm-mm. Not that much further away now. How has everyone's summer been? How has the end of summer treated you? I'm not looking forward to autumn. Autumn sucks, okay? Anyone who is named Autumn or who pretends to have the name Autumn as well, they're absolute pieces of hot filth garbage, okay? Just want to say that. Just want to say that. See, look, I'm laughing. I'm laughing. It's meant to be funny. Especially if they have a rat named Rooster. Especially if they have two rats named Rooster. Hmm? Hmm? Boys, that's not the place. You need to go to the feet website. What's the feet website you have, boy? Um, Only feet? Yes, boy. They need to check you guys kissing on only feet. Okay? They can watch you there. Perfectly timed to release a book about a winter spirit. There you go. That works out for you. I am stoked summer is over. 100 plus degrees was way too much. It did not get 100 here, fortunately, but I know it does there. Yeah, you're much further south than I am. So you have you have it much hotter. And I guess in wintertime you don't really have to, it's not really all that cold there for you. Well, I guess it really wouldn't be cold if you lived like northern, I mean not northern, southern Florida, but yeah, I know you, I don't know exactly where, I have to look at the map, but yeah, I think Florida hangs off quite a bit, it's even further down, so. Let's say Arizona, you open the door during the summer, it feels like Satan has farted in your face. Yeah, well, I bet a lot of atheists would like that. They would actually, not atheists, Satanists, I'm sorry, Satanists, not atheists, Satanists. I bet Satanists would like that a lot. They just probably let it in, you know? That's, that is what they do. That's what they do. We get some cold weather here, nothing like back east though. Yeah, yeah, since I'm on East Coast. Okay, I want to say hello to Losh Sky. Great to have you here playing Diablo 4. Well, wonderful. I hope you are enjoying that game. I've never actually played that game before, but hopefully you are having a good time at that. I think that is like an older game, right? I don't know. I don't know. I'm not really too familiar with that, but yeah, not really too familiar. I play a lot of different games though. I mostly play older games, so. And I just played, it'll be released in October, guys. Like the worst two games ever imaginable. Well, one of them was much worse than the other one. One of them was, I was literally like falling asleep as I was playing the game because it was just so boring. So boring and so bad. So boring. I could not, oh, it wasn't necessarily frustrating, but it was just very boring. Very, very boring. So, if you want to know what that game is, well, I guess you have to follow. You had to follow me on Asphodel Gaming YouTube channel. You can follow me there, and you will see the horrible, horrible game in early October. So bad. So bad. So bad. I'm like falling asleep just thinking about the darn freaking game, I tell you. Just, it sucks. It sucks. Oh, I need a drink of water just thinking about that. Hmm. Oh. Anyway. Boys, would you have any final things to say to the wonderful people? But before you go and sniff your feet, because I'm not allowing you to sniff feet on camera anymore. Okay, fine. You can sniff those feet on camera. Okay. Boys, stop. Okay. I still vote for a replay of Deathspank. No. No. No, not a no. If they remake it Deathspank or remaster it, I would certainly play it. But there are so many other games that I want to play. So I don't think so. I don't think so. No. They should like make it like a trilogy. There's like 3 games. They could redo it, but I don't. You have to factor this in. I don't think the company even exists anymore that made the games. In addition, there's no financial incentive to do that. You know, so it's not good for them financially. Ugh, funny stuff. Yeah, you know, we just play a lot of obscure games, a lot of bad games. Like the amount of bad games that I played this year. That's the thing though. That's the thing though. That is the thing though. That other people do not play these stupid games, so I'm the one who's playing them. Of course, you know. I say, hope you're not talking about Alan Wake 2. No, I've not played that. I think that isn't that a newer game as well? Let me see. I don't remember when that came out. That sounds familiar. 2023. No, I mostly play older games. I guess this one is considered very, very bad. Yeah, I mostly play old games that are very bad. And let's see. They should totally mod the game and replace Deathspank with me. Yeah, you know, Ryan, that would be very good as well. If they if they took, you know, I think we can possibly do that. You know, I don't there is a Deathspank game extractor out there, and I don't know if it can repackage the assets, but yeah, you can find someone who can mod you in. You know, I know something about extracting stuff, but I don't know anything about repacking it and modding. You know, that's not really my type of thing. So I love older games. They make me feel nostalgic. Yep, and that's the comments that I get a lot on my gaming channel. Folks, let me tell you this, my gaming channel, which is like the main thing that I've been focusing on, that one is so close now to like 1,000 subscribers. It's like right there. It's like right there, you know? Well, I mean, it's not like right there as in like I need like 5 more. No, I think it's like about 30 something. But it's not much. It's like I'm ready to hit that milestone already. So if you have not subscribed, Asphodel Gaming on YouTube or on... It's only YouTube that it's about to hit 1,000. My other channels on other sites, it's not at 1,000. But on YouTube, it is 1,000. Almost 1,000. So, let's see. If you have a patience to beat the NES Silver Surfer game, I'm not familiar with that. Let me look. Silver Surfer. Okay. Silver Surfer NES. That does not, no, that does that, yeah. No. It's a hard Nintendo game. Worst games ever made. We should look that up. Worst games ever made. I mean, look at this. Pac-Man for the Atari 2600. How is Pac-Man a bad game? I guess back in what year did it come out? 1982. Pac-Man came out and that was considered a bad game. That's interesting. Okay, I know about this one here. E.T. the Extraterrestrial. That one's considered bad. Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde. I think, Ryan, you mentioned that to me or something. I forget. But that one's considered really bad. I'm familiar with that one. Let me see if there's any... Plumbers don't wear ties. In another game I'm planning on playing, it is basically like... kind of like a porn game for the 3DO, but it's not really... It's kind of not, but it kind of is, but it's not. It's a really bad game. Oh, here's another bad game I'll be playing. The Philips CDI Legend of Zelda games. Horrible. Hotel Mario. Oh, yeah. Let's see what else. Bubsy 3D. Lock Sky. Great to have you as a member on YouTube. Thank you so very much. Thank you for becoming a member. I appreciate that. Let's see what else that we have here is considered bad. Superman 64. I will never touch that game. There you go. Smash that heart button. Smash that heart button. That's right. Smash it with your feet. Let me see if there's any of these other games that I am familiar with. I mean, I've heard of... Okay, Big Rigs Over the Road Racing. I know that one's bad. I've never even heard of some of the other ones. Bomberman is... One of these Bomberman games is considered bad. Interesting. Sonic the Hedgehog 2006. Wow. Stalin versus Martians? Okay. Okay. Final Fantasy 14. That's considered bad, huh? Interesting. Interesting how some of these games that I've never actually played that I thought that I've heard of a little bit, some of them, but... Honestly, a lot of the bad games that I've played, they're not even on this list. Okay, it's going to like 2018 now. Let's see what else. It's in the 2020s. Cyberpunk 2077. I remember that one had like a bad... Like it came out and it was like severely broken, so it immediately got a lot of negative backlash initially. Interesting. Yeah, that's everything there. Interesting. Pac-Man World for the PS1, I beat that. I beat that. And I want to play the remake of that. Yeah. Dr. Hyde was horrible. The game is basically impossible to beat. Yeah. The PS3 is backwards compatible with PS1 games. Indeed it is. Indeed it is. Okay. So to kind of wrap this whole conversation up, let's just kind of conclude with our main topics here. So earlier in the broadcast, we talked about minimum wage, raising the minimum wage and everything, talking about the issues with that. I really hope that the people who don't really understand the economy or how that works, or just think that they can just raise the minimum wage without any repercussions and all that sort of stuff, they really start to understand a bit more about the economy. That they begin to start to understand that things are not the way that they think that it works exactly. And the people who run the economy don't even have a clue themselves how it works. All they know is that it works somehow before it all comes crashing down. You know, it's like, how much longer? How much longer? You know, you've heard those doomsday things for so long. When does it get set off into like hyperinflation? Like, I believe it was Venezuela. Venezuela was, I believe, a country that went into like hyperinflation because they had, you know, communist style type of socialist government. You know, that's what happens. That's what happens. And just think, people want that. People want that. They don't want a capitalistic type of economy, which is the best economy you can have in order for you to excel, in order for you to work hard and actually see your dreams, your hard work pay off. You can't do that in other types of economies. You can only do that in a capitalist type of economy where you work hard to achieve your goals and you're able to be financially independent as a result. It may take a long time. Sometimes there'll be a lot of things in the way. So, and then for the second half, for the second topic, we discussed why people take offense so easily. People taking offense, how you can learn to not take offense, how you can learn to laugh at yourself. Go look in the mirror and find something you don't like about yourself and make a joke about it. You know, if you have like a pimple right on your nose, you know, it's like, what sort of names can you call yourself to make fun of yourself in a funny, healthy manner, so that you're able to laugh at yourself and not take things so seriously. That's what you have to do. People don't know how to do that. It's hard for them to do that. It's a shame. It's a shame. But I can guarantee you, if you start to do that, you start to practice it, and you start to just laugh and have fun, life will be so much better. Like, think about Rooster for a moment here, you know? People may get offended. People may think that, you know, his feet are so stinky and sweaty and pulsating. He likes that. He laughs about it. He thinks it's a good thing. Okay? Cutie. How cute. Hmm? So, just learn to laugh, learn to have a fun time, stop taking things so seriously, because this world, there are certain things to take seriously and then other things to laugh and joke about. And very interestingly, the first topic about money and finances, that is something to take seriously. Managing your money, what you're spending your money on, those are things to take seriously. Things not to take seriously is other people's criticisms of you, what people are saying about you. Those are things that are not important whatsoever. They really are not. You know? Anyway, folks, for a fun little thing here. Come on, YouTube. Are you not going to load? Let me close it out and open it back up. YouTube, what are you doing here? Okay, let's try this again, YouTube. Let's try this again. Okay. Are you going to work? Are you going to participate now? Let's see. No, it's not going to work. I was going to do the gift memberships, but it's not going to allow me. So I'm so sorry. I can't do them. I click on it and it's just an endless scrolling and endlessly loading thing. Let me check the web console. I bet it's failing to load something. Let's see. Yep, it says cannot read property of undefined. YouTube, fix your stuff. Why? Why? Let me see if that's what it's caused by. Yep, the moment I click on this, it's failed to read, cannot read properties of undefined. Ah, YouTube, you know. You make things so fun. You make things so fun sometimes. When I want to give out the gift memberships and you make it so I can't. Anyway, folks, I am going to conclude the broadcast now. I want to thank you all so very much for tuning in. I apologize that I could not do any gift memberships as I usually do because YouTube will not allow me. YouTube would not allow me. They need to fix it. Hopefully next time, maybe in October, they will have it fixed. Hope so. So I want to thank you all so very much for tuning in. I will catch you all again later. So have a fun one. Have a great weekend and see you all later. Bye, boys and ladies. And we'll see you again in 2 weeks. That's right. Yeah, so we will be live again October 6th. I'll see you then.